Let's welcome to the show from the watchdog group, the White Coat Waste Project. He's Justin Goodman. Hey, Justin, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so we read through your reports. You guys are finding, based on government documents, lack of oversight and abuses at the NIH and at Dr. Fauci's NIAID, way worse than people realize. And now Congress's watchdogs, the GAO, found the same. Can you explain this? Because many people think Dr. Fauci is a hero.
Yeah, well, I think he's a mad scientist who caused a pandemic that killed over 10 million people by funding reckless animal experiments in foreign countries with virtually no oversight. Our Worldwide Waste campaign that we launched about 5 years ago has been documenting scary spending overseas by Dr. Fauci and others at the NIH on dangerous, cruel, and completely unnecessary animal experiments like the ones we exposed at the Wuhan lab in April 2020. We were the first to expose that Dr. Fauci was shipping tax dollars to the Wuhan lab for dangerous gain-of-function experiments that the FBI, the Department of Energy, and many others believe caused the pandemic. Of course, he's denied that, but documents we've obtained through the Freedom of Information Act show that he was funding those experiments that we believe killed millions of people. Now, unfortunately, that's the tip of the iceberg. His division and the NIH have been shipping billions of dollars overseas to animal laboratories in places like China, in places like Russia, where we exposed horrendous cat experiments being funded as recently as 2021 by the Biden administration in a Kremlin-run laboratory. And of course, viewers might remember the Tunisian dog experiments that Fauci was funding, where dogs were being rounded up and locked in mesh cages and being eaten alive by flies in horrible taxpayer-funded animal experiments at a lab in Tunisia. Now, the Government Accountability Office, as you noted, has done an audit at the request of Congress following our Worldwide Waste investigation and confirmed basically everything we found, that the NIH has shipped over $2 billion to foreign laboratories in China, Russia, and other countries over the last 10 years, and there's essentially no oversight. They don't inspect these labs. The NIH admitted that in its 38 years of lab oversight, it's never visited a foreign laboratory once. Yet it's shipping billions of dollars overseas to these labs with no accountability and transparency.
So we're talking 200 different labs in 44 nations that got over $2 billion over the last 10 years, including China and Russia. No oversight from Dr. Fauci or the NIH and the NIAID on what they're doing with these cruel and brutal experiments on animals. I mean, taxpayers don't know what their money is being spent on. I mean, does the NIH or NIAID even verify what they're getting in the reports from these foreign nations, or is it just that they're asleep at the switch?
They're giving these foreign animal laboratories a completely free pass. They're shipping the money over there, and they have no idea how it's being spent. And Fauci admitted that several times during hearings in front of Congress, that he doesn't know exactly how the Wuhan Institute of Virology spent our tax money in their animal laboratories. He denied funding gain-of-function. Then the NIH later admitted that it funded gain-of-function experiments that supercharged coronaviruses that were collected in the wild, brought into a lab, and then injected into humanized mice and caused a lab leak that we think caused the pandemic. So this is shipping tax dollars overseas to animal laboratories with no accountability and transparency is a recipe for disaster. Wuhan is Exhibit A.
It is so savage and it's so cruel to animals. I'm sorry. It's just horrendous what's going on. To what you're saying, let's listen to Dr. Fauci testify. And Senator John Kennedy is asking him, do you do any oversight? Do you keep tabs on what's going on? Watch this.
You gave them money and you said, don't do gain-of-function research.
Correct.
And they said, we won't.
Correct.
And you have no way of knowing whether they did or not, except you trust them. Is that right?
Well, we generally always trust the grantee to do what they say. And you look at the results.
Justin, how can you trust the grantee to do what they're saying they're due? Is that just so fatally naive? What do you think, Justin? Final word.
Absolutely. It's asinine, it's insane, and we have to stop the money, stop the madness. A majority of taxpayers don't want their money being shipped to foreign countries that don't have our best interest in mind, and we're working with members of congressional leadership like Senator Joni Ernst, like Congresswoman Lisa McClain, to work on legislation that would defund laboratories in Russia, China, and other foreign enemies and crack down on other foreign laboratories to ensure there is some accountability and transparency about how tax dollars are being spent.
Justin Goodman, that was a terrific interview, sir. Thank you so much for bringing this story to our attention. We'll stay on it. It's good to have you on. Great work.
Thanks for your interest, Liz.
That's a terrific group, the White Coat Waste Project. You should follow these guys. Thank you so much again, Justin.